Coming up, crime declined. The Commissioner of Police with numbers from last year.
Seesaw Syndicate, the teachers union president was out then in. Find out the next step for the leader.
Caribs cleaned. Highlights from Night League basketball on tap tonight as well. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report starts now.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The Commissioner of Police says crime figures were down last year in almost all areas. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
And I'm Candino Knowles. Well, new stats released by the police show that the number of rapes declined by 29%, as well as a drop in armed robberies, which are now down by 9%. However, as Fern Carey tells us, there was a spike in murder, with the greatest numbers recorded here in the capital.
Serious crimes against persons and property were down by 18% last year, with Police Commissioner Ellison Greenslade revealing at his Meet the Press on Tuesday that the decrease was influenced by declines in other areas like rapes, armed robbery, and housebreaking, among others.
That is when you take all of the major crimes that we've categorized from time immemorial in the Bahamas with no changes, and you compare them year over year. The figures for 2014 overall are down by 11%. When you take the figures of crimes against persons, and that would be your murders, manslaughters, armed robbery, rapes, etc., those property crimes are down for 2014 overall in the Bahamas by 11%.
At the same time, figures show that there has been an increase in murder over last year.
We recorded in 2014 123 murders, representing a 3% increase over the figure recorded in 2013. That figure in 2013 was 119. We are noting that in the vast majority of the murder cases, an illegal firearm, more specifically a pistol, an illegal pistol, is a weapon of choice.
The commissioner attributed the high murder rate to a hardcore group of prolific serial offenders, and to address the climbing murder rate, he noted that police crime-fighting strategies have been reviewed and changed.
We were tweaking all of last year. You'll note when you review the plan that I have a statement or two in there indicating that we will continue to listen to our public, we will continue to pay attention to the dynamics within the communities, and certainly will make the adjustments as necessary. That is, we have a willingness to listen, a willingness to work together with a view to making improvements. This issue of murder is a vexing issue.
Meantime, Commissioner Greenslade pointed out that police officers have removed 400 illegal firearms off the streets so far for the year, and he renewed his call for residents to partner with the police. Fern Carey, ZNS Network News.
Well, another issue Police Commissioner Greenslade expanded on at today's press conference was the conduct of police officers. While the commissioner praised the majority of the officers for their sacrifice, he recognized that there are a select few who tarnish that image. LTV's Mullings tells us that Commissioner Greenslade describes it as an issue that can potentially erode the public's confidence in the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
The police officer that recently made headlines for being charged in the magistrate's court with possession of dangerous drugs was among the 19 officers discharged from the Royal Bahamas Police Force in 2014.
A serving member of the Royal Bahamas Police Force cannot possess nor use drugs according to this commissioner and according to the laws of the Bahamas. I hereby inform you that I have relieved that officer of his duties.
3 other officers who were found guilty in the courts were also released. 2 of those officers were sent to prison. 15 officers were relieved of their duties for ceasing to be efficient, and their discharges were made by the commissioner in the public's interest. Another officer was sent home last year for being absent from work for more than 30 days. Commissioner Greenslade acknowledged, though, that these officers only make up a select few who stain the good reputation of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. He recognized that the majority of the officers are decent, hardworking, and committed citizens, although he maintains that all officers must still be held accountable.
You cannot imagine the sacrifices officers all across this Commonwealth make on a daily basis to help to make this Bahamas a safer place to live, to work, to visit, and to play. I am very proud of the men and women under my charge. I will continue to give them the best duty of care that I can.
Keep in mind, too, that many members of the public criticize officers' conduct through the Police Complaints and Corruption Unit. Last year, 257 complaints were filed compared to 285 in 2013. Alleged assault constituted the most criticism, followed by 42 cases of unethical behavior, 24 complaints of damage, and 18 missing property cases.
I believe where we neglect to be as efficient is in responding to members of the public that have complained. I can recall several examples recent where I've been contacted by members of the press privately and by citizens asking about the progress in matters, and being able to respond and say that many of those matters are already before a tribunal. So we're good at taking the complaints, is what I'm telling you. We have not been so good at giving a feedback to members of the public, and I hope that we will all do much better in that regard.
Altaviz Munnings, ZNS Network News.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force's Drug Enforcement Unit also made a huge contribution to suppressing illicit activities nationwide last year. They confiscated 927.86 pounds of cocaine, 71 pounds of hash oil, more than 18,000 ecstasy tablets, and 20,602 pounds of marijuana. Police revealed today that the majority of those drug seizures, excluding cocaine, occurred at Lynden Pinland International Airport, involving passengers arriving on commercial airlines from South America and those entering the United States of America. DEU officers also arrested 1,308 people in 2014. More than 1,200 of them are Bahamians and 103 foreigners. 873 drug cases were brought before the court last year as well.
Well, one day after being cleared of all charges and given the green light to reclaim her post, President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Belinda Wilson, returned to the job today, only to be met with resistance. Carla Palmer reports on exactly what transpired.
President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Belinda Wilson, says had she arrived at BUT's headquarters after 10 o'clock Tuesday morning, she would not have gained access to the building.
The locksmith was actually here. He was changing the locks. So I was able to come in because a member was actually walking out of the door.
While Wilson has gained access to the building, she remains locked out of her office. However, not for long, as the locks will reportedly be changed again. All of this just one day after the union's 3-member appeals committee ruled in Wilson's favor that a suspension be lifted.
So it means that the executive committee is not honoring the Constitution because the decision of the appeals committee is final. So I hope that cooler heads would prevail and they would respect what the Constitution says.
According to Wilson, the immediate resolve to this matter will require a quorum of 50 union members to vote on the issue in a General Assembly and decide the way forward towards a union general election in June.
I'm really hoping also that we do not have to take the legal route, that we'll be able to deal with the matter internally. But based on the behavior that I've seen over the last few days, I think that's going to be rather difficult.
I'm Carla Palmer for ZNS Network News.
Well, former Gaming Board Chairman and Member of Parliament for Fort Charlotte, Dr. Andre Rollins, will learn his fate this Thursday. ZNS News understands that the governing Progressive Liberal Party's Leadership Council met last night to make a final determination on what punishment, if any, will be handed down to the outspoken Member of Parliament. These recommendations will be presented this Thursday at the party's monthly National General Council meeting. This is a developing story that we will continue to follow.
Royal Bahamas Defense Force Commodore Roderick Bowe says interdictions and morale are up since the first set of 9 vessels purchased to strengthen the agency's border protection capabilities arrived in 2014. Commodore Bowe says the agency has made significant inroads in capturing illegal immigrants in the nation's waters and also in thwarting attempts to smuggle in drugs and ammunition. This is due to government's investment of $232 million through the Sandy Bottom Project to expand the RBDF's fleet.
Even come across a vessel with drugs, and we've had a lot of violations with weapons and ammunition. So we've been having a big impact. Last week we had an exercise with customs, a joint exercise, the Abacus. And so we've been able to use our vessels, and this year we're going to have 3 more in 2 months' time. The 4th vessel, HMBS Royally Grey, should be arriving here late March, early April.
Bowe says it will be the last of the 42-meter vessels. The first one, the HMBS Arthur Dion Hanna, arrived in May of last year at a cost of $14.7 million. The first of the 30-meter boats will arrive in the summer, and the landing craft should arrive in October. And by 2016, the last 3 vessels will arrive in the country. In preparation, Bowe says officers have received extensive training, adding that it is difficult to man Bahamian waters. He says Bahamians do not fully grasp how vast the waters actually are.
Only about 10% of the Bahamas is made up of land. 90% or a little bit more is made up of water. And so you need to have, if you want to have a presence, you've got to put a lot of emphasis on having your resources at sea. And so we're grateful for the government and the people of the Bahamas for having confidence in us and providing us with such a large expenditure to ensure that we're represented at sea and ensuring that we are able to carry out our mandates. We've been getting a lot of opportunities to have operations expand their knowledge base, and so the transference of knowledge from other agencies and the persons within the force who are leaving is ongoing.
Government works on a contract with Bahamas Air pilots. Coming up, find out the latest.
And then we've got Night League basketball highlights as well in ZNS Total Sports. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.